Go. I don't want to deal with
What's
any
up,
of this. Like this
guys?
nonsense. But probably
Today,
half were like, I want
it's
to
the
see where this
building
goes. Like
thing.
this is the funniest, weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Last
So
video,
the Gen Z kid
I
is like,
built
perfect.
the lobby,
Show.
and
Antarctica
also
is so
off
much.
screen,
It's a
I also
mental
built
ice
this.
cap
That
we don't need
is
to
last
worry
fall
about,
of
and that we don't
train.
need to actively check in on. Why do you think this is the case?
So now we're
This
gonna
is where
be
they make
building
all the
over there.
snow, and he has like big like air quotes or whatever. The truth about snow is it is used to control the U.S.
Chrono Post once
population.
again.
This is a fact. And everyone kind of looks at each other like, this is a fact? How? How is this a fact, dude? He's like, this is a undisputable fact. Snow's not real. I know your parents have been lying to you, being like, oh, snow's real or something. Snow's not real, okay? It's not real. And it is used by the
Let's see
government
if I
to
can find
control
any way
the
to.
population. And the Brian is just kind of like, what? Dude. So some kid raises.
Last summer, a sizzling group of islanders lit up the villa. Some left in love.
I'm like permanently blushing.
Oh wait, is this love?
Aaron!
But all left with lifelong friends.
Now I have sisters for life.
And now, for the first time ever, the Islanders are bringing their Love Island energy to a new series.
Los Angeles, we are back.
Love Island Beyond the Villa. Streaming now, only on Peacock.
My favorite thing about Shipt since I signed up for Target Circle 360, no price markups when I order same-day delivery from tons of local stores. Only a handful of alcohol retailers and items don't count. I won't lie, I've had too much fun being like, markups on groceries, not in my fridge. Markups on pet food, not for my DOG. Markups on tools, electronics, home goods, meds, not in my house. Anyway, it's awesome. Order now at shipped.com/360. Terms apply.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
This is his hand. And the Gen Z kid is like, yes, Steven. Have I not been clear enough for you? And this kid named Steven will say, raises his hand and is just like, yeah, like, how do they control the population with snow? And the Gen Z kid just doesn't respond for a second. He's like, silence! I'm telling you information. Stop interrupting me. And the whole class is kind of like, dude, what? Dude, because he asked a genuinely decent question. Like, what do you mean snow is fake? Like, what? Like, also, how does it control the population? Like, how would that control people? People is the secret word of the day. So comment people down below.
Oh my
if you made
god,
it this far into
people.
the video. And while you're down in the comment section, make sure to check out the pinned comment, because in the pinned comment is a link to my Spotify account in which all these stories are uploaded as podcasts. I'd love it for you to listen on there if you like that. And also in the pinned comment are 2 YouTube channels that I'm also working on. Please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to those and watch some of the videos, as I think you will enjoy them. Anyways, yeah, the Gen Z kid continues to go on about how snow is fake. So he moves to the next presentation, the next slideshow, not the presentation. And it's just a bunch of letters saying, snow is fake, wake up, sheeple. And he's like, guys, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to repeat after me. Snow is fake. And he waits a second, and literally no one in the class says anything. It's just dead silent. He's like, guys, you're not paying attention. I mean, I get it. You're sheeple, and you're just like, beep, boop, bop. I'm a bot. I'm a robot. I'm an NPC. I do whatever government says. Snow is real. But, guys, is it really that hard to follow orders? And the whole class is like, dude, what is this kid going on about? And so at this point, the teacher steps up. He's like, hey, man, buddy, old pal. Where did you get this information, by the way, that that snow isn't real? And the Gen Z kid's like, well, I got it from really reliable sources. And the teacher's like, can you show me those sources? The first time anyone's actually asked to see the sources, not even the people in the Snow is Fake group that he created earlier asked to see the sources. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. And he pulls out, like, his phone. He's like, wait a minute, I have to go find it. He's like going on TikTok, going through his saved or whatever. He's like, here, this is undeniable proof that snow is fake. Prove me wrong, Mr. Teacher. And so the teacher looks at it. It's like, son, like this. Because the teacher, I guess, has TikTok or whatever. And he's at least, I think the teacher's a little bit more with it when it comes to the internet or something. Or, okay, basically the teacher looks at the account and says, oh, like Gen Z kid, like this is a parody account. Like, it's like, huh? He's like, yeah, this account is like, it's like a comedy account. It's like, it'll say something satirical or obviously fake and make it portray it as true, but it's even says in the account, like, clicks on the account and it says like parody in the account, satire. Like, and he's like, yeah, no, this account is just satire, man. Like, this is just a joke. And the Gen Z kid's like, whoa, what? No, the government got to him. The government got to him. Yes. The government got to him and made him change the account. Oh, you thought I was going to fall for this, man. The government got to his account and made him change it to satire so that he could, like, protect himself. He's trying to avoid being captured by the FBI right now. And the teacher's like, no, I'm pretty sure this is just satire. Because if you actually watched the video, apparently it was, like, very obviously, like, for comedic effect. Like, it was literally done mocking people that, like, it would come to these crazy conclusions about stuff. But the Gen Z kid must have seen it and been like, this is real! Oh my god, guys! Yeah, so, eventually I think the Gen Z kid starts to realize that he fell for an obvious joke. And, yeah, he starts to be like, well, actually, I'm going to do some more research on the topic, and I will get back to you guys later. And the Gen Z kid sits down in his seat and just doesn't say anything. Yeah, so for the rest of class, the other presentations are pretty normal. But, yeah, a week later, it snows again, and Brian goes up to the Gen Z kid and is like, hey, man. And the Gen Z kid's like, what's up? He's like, is this real? And the Gen Z kid's like, yes, it is real. It is real, Brian. You happy now? You know those kids that when they're in a...
To realize the future America needs, we understand what's needed from us.
You know those
To face
kids,
each
right?
threat head on.
America.
We've earned our place in the fight
You
for our nation's
own your
future.
place.
We are Marines. We were made for
in an
this.
argument and they're starting to lose, they'll like bring up, my mom does, or my dad is, or like something like that, or my dad works for, or my dad's a lawyer,
My
man.
little
Or just imagine those
sister.
kids, right? Imagine that kid. Multiply them by 100, and you have today's spoiled brat. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber who sent in the story, and by the way, you can send in stories too to my Instagram in the description, be featured on the channel, love to see it. Let's just call this kid Jake, right? Anyways, Jake, good kid. And in Jake's class, right, there was a kid who was kind of the worst kid ever. I'm just kidding, I'm sure that there's someone worse, but he was the spoiled brat kid that I gave a brief description for in the beginning. Let's call this guy Thomas, right? Thomas. And then there's another girl in the class, and this girl, her name's Emma. Emma's pretty crucial to the story, but that'll become a little bit more apparent in just a second. Anyways, right, so just a little backstory before we go into what Thomas did, his crazy mental breakdown, explosion, calling my dad on literally everything, and whatever, right, you'll see in a second. But a little bit of a backstory, right? So Jake, the kid who sent in the story, and this girl, Emma, they pretty obviously had feelings for each other, like they were always like friends, but it was very clear that like they were not about to stay friends for long. They were either going to have a massive explosion and never talk to each other ever again, or they were gonna like date, marry, have 6 kids, send 2 kids off to college, start a Roth IRA, start mining Bitcoin as all couples do. It was gonna be either or, and it was really looking like Jake was gonna ask her out pretty soon. Like everybody in the class knew this, except Thomas, because Thomas didn't have a lot of friends, we'll put it that way. But it was kind of due to him being a jerk face. I don't know how else to put it, man. I don't know how else to put it. It just is what it is. Anyways, right, so, Jake, he's in class one day. And, at this point, he kind of has, like, plans to ask Emma out at some point this week, right? He knows he's going to do it. And the thing is, like, everybody knows he's going to do it, too. Even, like, Emma is, like, 98% sure because people who talk to Jake talk to her. Secrets, they don't last long. Secrets are no fun unless you share them with me, not anyone else, just me. But anyways, right, so he was kind of thinking about this in the back of his head, so he was kind of having a good time. It was a fun week. Things were looking good. But then, this kid, Thomas, right? Thomas had a reputation for being that kid who was like, no one ever said no, right? He had a lot of, resources and completely abused them, right? He would come in and he would, like, if someone had, like, something new, he would get the new thing +1 or, like, with more storage or just slightly newer or slightly cooler. And while he wouldn't, like, blatantly, like, I've talked about kids in the past that have blatantly been like, haha, my phone is better than yours because it has, like, it's slightly bigger or has, like, another camera or something, or it's newer. Thomas would never be that blatant about it, but it was very apparent that whenever someone got something, that Thomas the next day would get something that was just a little bit better, that it was 100% on purpose. Like, this kid was definitely knew what he's doing. So one day when Jake was in class, and remember, he's at this point kind of planning to ask out Emma. Emma knows, the whole class knows, the teacher knows, like, I know at this point, I'm just kidding. I have no idea who these people are, but anyways, right, they kind of know it, and he's chilling in class one day, and he overhears, Thomas. Thomas is going on one of his little rants. Because while Thomas wasn't always blatant about being a jerk, he could be very arrogant at times, such as like a couple weeks ago, he was like, guys, I'm not even going to study for this test, man. I'm literally I'm just born different. And Thomas claimed to get 100 on the test. But, the thing is, one of the classmates did a little bit of an investigation by themselves and figured out that Thomas got a 42, which, look, these things happen, right? You try to avoid those. Sometimes tests are hard, but you never go around saying you got 100. I mean, maybe you're like, oh, dude, I got a C on that test, and you actually, like, failed it. I'm fine with that. Like, whatever, dude. But don't go around saying you got 100 when you got a 42 or something. I don't know. Anyways, right, so Thomas was going on one of his little rants, and Jake decided to overhear what Thomas's rant was. And it was very kind of, like, awkward, yet pretty funny for Jake. Because Thomas was talking about how Emma was in love with him. And at first Jake was like, bro, what? And Thomas was talking really loudly to this kid. And he was like, yeah, Emma, she's in love with me, man. She just can't. I see her all the time. She's looking over at me with these eyes of desire. And like, that's a quote, by the way. Like, sometimes I make up the lines for what these people are saying because I didn't get like a 50-page script. But that one was a quote, right? This was a quote, right? Jake told, or, the subscriber who we're calling Jake, said that, like, this kid actually said, like, eyes of, like desire or something crazy like that. So at this point, Jake is like, LOL, like, what? And yeah, Thomas, the kid, spoiled brat kid, who you will see have a epic meltdown in just a second. Just give me a second, right? This kid then goes on to say that he's going to ask out Emma and that there's a 100% chance that she's going to say yes. And at this point, Jake is like, all right, I'm trying to find the betting house so I can make a bet on this 100% bet because I could probably get pretty good reward for that, like probably some pretty good odds, or the odds would be terrible if it's really 100%, and I will definitely make some money on this bet. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyways, right, so Jake was sitting there, he's like, that's funny, haha. He didn't actually think Thomas was gonna go through with it, because Thomas in the past had made a lot of like very, very big claims. He's that kid who always like says things, but never really does them, right? He never really ends up like following through with the stuff. But anyways, they get out of class and they're walking down the hallway, and Jake, the subscriber, he sees Emma. Emma's like, oh, hi Jake, how's it going? And Jake is like, Emma, can we talk for a second? Because Jake was thinking to himself, he's like, you know what? I think I should just ask her out now. Like, I don't want her to, like, feel, like, to say yes to this kid just because she feels bad, and then it's weird. And he said also, like, why am I stringing her on? Like, why am I making this longer than it needs to be? So what he did is he did it really private, nothing really crazy, and he just took her aside, and he's like, hey, we've been having a really, really good time together. Like, I've really enjoyed spending time with you. And he's like, I feel like we're not really friends right now, and I want to make it official. And she was, like, all smiley and happy, man. I really have to make this part up because I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to You know what? I'm not even good at that, man. One like equals one prayer for, my love life, but whatever, dude. Jake says something really sweet, like, I don't know, your feet are hot, LOL, XD. He says something like really sweet and just something a girl wants to hear, like what I just said. By the way, guys, feel free to use that banger on someone. It will 100% work. I'm as confident that it's going to work that I am as confident that this kid's not going to have a complete mental breakdown. And by mental breakdown, I mean Thomas having a complete rage. But anyways, right? But that's a joke. Don't actually use that line. I'm not liable if you get rejected or punched in the face. Don't actually use that line, guys. Anyways, right, so, Jake, he asked out Emma, and guess what? Emma said yes. Not a surprise, not a surprise at all. But anyways, right, so, they're walking out, and, good news, Jake just asked out Emma. She said yes. He's having a good time. People are like, Emma goes up to her group of friends and starts telling them, like, ooh, kind of fun, like, high school drama stuff like that. Like, oh, yay, congrats, guys, whatever. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Thomas is not aware of this fact. I mean, first of all, she'd never say yes to Thomas because he's kind of a jerk. But Thomas, good guy, actually not good guy, but Thomas, right? He's not aware of this. Anyways, right, so you get out to the hall, and Jake is somewhere, like, Jake is kind of near, like, he's in the hallway, because it's, like, in between classes or whatever, or it's, like, during whatever. I don't know exactly the context, but for some reason, a bunch of kids were just, like, chilling somewhere. Maybe it's the hall, maybe it's out of, like, recess, maybe it's a common area. Either way, imagine a place where all these kids are at. And Thomas is there, and he sees Emma, and he's like, hey, Emma, can I talk to you for a second? And here's the thing, right? Emma was totally aware, like, when Jake, like, called her aside, she knew exactly what was happening, because they've been kind of, like, talking for a week like that, like, they had kind of been like that for a while. Either way, right, so when Thomas calls Emma aside, she had no idea what to expect. She had never talked to this kid before. The whole, like, Thomas telling people that she was in love with him. That just wasn't true, man. That just was not true. Anyways, right, so Thomas, he calls Emma aside, but he calls her aside, not really, like, Jake, like, actually brought her to, like, a different place. Thomas did this in front of actually everyone. He went up to her, and he's like, hey, and she's like, what's up? And he's like, you've been totally looking at me recently with these eyes. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it doesn't matter. Will you be my girlfriend? And he just kind of, like, looks at her with, like, these eyes, like, huh? Will you? What do you say? And she's like, okay, here's the thing. She wouldn't have said yes anyways, but she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And at this point, his face drops. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm actually just got in a relationship with someone. And he's like, who? Yeah. And Emma's like, yeah, Jake. And he's like,
Streets are buzzing about Bravos the Valley. You heard about the breakups.
I'm putting a restraining order against you.
I don't want this to be my life anymore.
Now see how it really went down.
This divorce has been very nasty.
Bravo's Suburban Saga continues.
Nice.
Give Karen energy, and I'm done with it.
Non-stop bombshells and betrayals.
Tell me the tea, please.
When Jason goes out, he takes his wedding ring off.
I'm the mother of your child. Why can't we just
Okay,
not
give
call
me a
the
second,
scene?
guys.
The
I'm
Valley,
gonna
new
come right
episodes
back.
Wednesdays. Watch Bravo on Peacock.
what?
Happens to have a car at this point.
Okay, we got
and, Bobby's
Peel.
friend
This
Ben
is
hits
what
up
I
Bobby
made
one
so
day, and
far.
Bobby's just chilling at home, and he gets a text from Ben saying, hey, do you want to, like, hang out today? And Bobby is feeling kind of lazy, so he's like, maybe, like, what do you want to do? His friend's like, dude, I want to go to the
But I
skate
want to
park.
show you what
Bobby
I'm
in
gonna
his head, he's
be
like,
making
I
for
don't
it.
know if I
So
want to go. Like, this is, I don't know, man. I really don't know. And Bobby should have stayed home that day based on what was about to go down, but he didn't because he wanted to see his friend Ben, and he was like, wait, what else am I going to do today? Watch Netflix? I know for a fact by the end of the day, if I'm just sitting here watching Netflix, I'm not going to be a happy camper. So sure enough, Bobby texts him back. He's like, yeah, man, like, I don't got a ride, but if you can pick me up 100%. So sure enough, this friend, I don't know, an hour later, pulls up to Bobby's house and says, hey, man, get in. And, Bobby shows up to the, the window. He's like, hey, what's up, Ben? Haven't seen you in forever. Just so you know, I don't have a skateboard, just so you're aware. And Ben's like, dude, I got two in the back. Don't worry about that. I got you. So sure enough, Ben hops into the car with Bobby. And, they drive, or Bobby hops into the car with Ben. They drive over to the skate park, which is, like, 15 minutes away from where Bobby lives. And they get out, and, you know, Bobby used to skate a little bit back in the day with his friend. It's been a while, so he's not going to do any tricks or anything like that, but he's just getting along, he's just getting on the board. He's kind of riding around a bit, just getting a little bit of exercise. And mostly he's out there just to hang out with Ben, because he hasn't seen Ben in a second, and they used to be really tight. So sure enough, you know, Bobby and Ben are just chilling at the skate park. They're having a good time. They're kind of just living their life. And that's when a very specific looking group, of these emo kids.
I'll do
They pop out of
gameplay
nowhere,
later,
basically,
but
and they just appear at the end of the skate park. So this
How
skate
you
park
think?
is
I
pretty
don't know.
big. It's not like a massive one.
It's
not
just
like
supposed to be a
where it's
map.
professional skater event or something. But it's a pretty big skate park. Like, the city definitely put some, like, a good amount of bread into making this. So sure enough, you know, they're looking over and they see this
now
group
give
of
me a
kids.
second.
This group of kids
Again.
has like the truth was that she
Okay,
was going to say yes
so
to
that
James if
now
he
I've
asked.
got all
However,
of
she
this.
just wanted to keep him kind of like on his toes and questioning
So
or
now
whatever,
time
right?
to make
So yeah, throughout that whole week, the emo kid and James, they didn't
Please
really
don't.
they weren't like in a fight with each other, but it was kind of like they were kind of like rivals in a sense, even though they never had any direct confrontation. And let's just skip ahead to that Friday. It was the day of the school dance. It was emo
What the
kid
hell,
versus
Phil?
James. So anyways, at this point, you know, the emo kid is like, you know, he's kind of like, he's standing in the corner at the dance, right? Look, I was pretty awkward in high school and middle school when it came to those big dances. But to be fair, everyone else was as well. But the emo kid was kind of taking it to a whole different level. He literally was like slouched in the corner of the room. His like long black hair kind of like down, almost like, you know, that scene from The Ring with that, like, the girl who comes out the TV. He was kind of looking like that chick for a second. So he was definitely not helping himself out in this situation. And at this point, James and his boys were kind of standing, like, together, whatever. They were dancing to, I don't know. I don't freaking know what they play at high school dances. Maybe some Whip Nene by Silento. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a middle school dance, bro. I don't know how this works. But anyways, they're kind of waiting for the slow song to come on. Maybe some, I don't know, some like song by Adele or something like that. Like dude, I always try and like say lines from songs during these stories and I just blank every single time. But anyways, yeah, so they're all kind of waiting around there, and it was, eventually, the slow dance song came on. And remember, you might be thinking, oh man, who cares? It's just like a slow song. No. What you have to understand is the slow song meant everything to these kids. Like, the slow song, basically, if you had a slow song with some girl, because remember, they were in middle school, this was like 7th, 8th grade, so probably the farthest you ever went with a girl was like slow dancing, or maybe holding her hand, if you were like crazy, because, you know, if you hold a girl's hand for too long, there is a chance you get her pregnant. So definitely not misinformation from the Connor Pugs channel. But anyways, slow dance was a really big deal, and all of a sudden the song comes on. And the thing was, right, the emo kid was too busy kind of like sulking about society in the corner of the room to react quick enough. So James was like, all right, bro, like, that guy's playing himself. I'm going to go in. So James very quickly goes in, and boom, he gets there, goes up. He's like, hey, Kate, can I have this dance? And she very happily says yes, because she said, like, oh, I don't know if I'll say yes. She knew. She was bluffing the whole time. And James kind of felt pretty confident about it. And even though she said, I don't know, he was pretty confident because her friends were like, yeah, dude, she's totally bluffing.
Okay.
Like, I hate to expose my friend like that, but she definitely has a thing for you. You're chilling. You're in the green. So anyways, James goes in. He feels pretty good about the whole thing. But let me just say that the emo kid eventually looks up, and then he sees this. And the emo kid is not having it. So he does something pretty insane. So strap in and definitely prepare for the cringe. If you have your cringe seatbelt unbuckled, I'm actually going to fine you for your own safety. So yeah, go ahead and buckle that cringe seatbelt, because there was like a DJ station, and there was like a guy who was like DJing, quote unquote, and there was like a microphone. So like the DJ could say like, hey, like 20 minutes till the dance is done, or get ready for this hype song or whatever. And other than that, he was really just a Spotify playlist. He just edited the Spotify playlist, right? However, the DJ let the Spotify playlist run on autoplay or whatever, and he went to the bathroom. So the emo kid ran up to like the spot or whatever. He grabs the microphone. He stops the music. First of all, he goes up to the Spotify, clicks pause on the music, and screams into the microphone, "Wait, And everybody turns around. Everybody turns around and they look at this kid. And they're all kind of like looking at this emo kid who's standing at the front of the room with like the microphone. He picks it up. He's like, Kate, no. So at this point, everyone's kind of looking at this kid like, oh my God. Because they all knew that like he wanted to have the dance with Kate, but like James obviously got it. So they were like, that's tough, man. Like, life sometimes doesn't work out the way you want it to. Like, that's just unfortunate how that goes. However, you know, he goes up there and he's like, he goes in the microphone, like, he says, wait. And everyone turns around. The music is off. He's like, Kate, may I have this dance?
Oh, what?
And everyone's so
I'll see you
confused because,
again
first of
later.
all, legitimate God,
Okay,
and that
guys.
his friends bow
I
down
finished
because
it.
they know that he can
This is the
smite
final
them
product.
and put spells on him. And, you know, he's been in his emo phase for a while, but it's evolved into an emo God phase. And Drew is just, like, looking at her like,
Let's
wait,
walk through it.
is the emo kid and my aunt, are they both on the same comedy bit? Is this like a sketch or something and he left to make it seem more believable? Because if that's the case, bravo, they're getting 5-star rating from me. But if this is legit, and it's seeming like it's legit, oh my God, I'm actually gonna like flip out, dude. This is the craziest thing ever. And then his aunt goes on to say, and you know, he's very fragile emotionally or whatever, so if you guys can just please play along if he like makes a mention that he's a god. Please don't burst his bubble. I know it's a lot to ask and it's super weird, but please just do it for me. He's gonna get through this phase and be normal soon. I hope. She has a long pause and then says, I hope. And like, you know, Drew's
here's
mom kind of
Buffalo.
cringes a little bit. She's like, oh my God. Like, thank God Drew is not like this and not in his God arc. Drew's mom wouldn't care if Drew was like an emo or something. But if he was an emo God phase, like, she
Oh,
would be like,
okay.
bruh.